How y'all doing? My name is Chris Reisman. I'm one of the owners here at Coastal Speed. A little while back we did a shop tour and kind of went over some of the cars that were in our shop. Gotten some requests from a couple customers that have watched that video that they enjoyed it and would like to kind of see an update on what we're working on now. So I'm going to take you on a little tour of the shop, kind of show you what we're working on, what's being done, maybe give you guys a better understanding of what we do here at Coastal Speed in Conway, South Carolina. So hope you guys enjoy. I think we're going to start with the two shop cars first, and then we'll move through some of the other builds that we have going on here currently. So stay tuned. All right, so starting off, we have our shop car. It's a 1964 Studebaker Commander. We have done quite a bit to this car, and anyone in this area is pretty familiar with it. We try and take it out to shows kind of whenever we can. So either I or Bradley will drive it out and get out about in the town. We have converted this thing to Holley EFI. I got a used Sniper kit off of a customer's car who swore Sniper was bad, there was something wrong with it, couldn't work, had us put a carburetor on it. So basically gave him a carburetor, did all the labor, and I put this Sniper on about 1.5 years ago and it's been flawless. So if you know how to work on Snipers, they work out really well. This car's had a little bit of stuff done to it. For the most part, it's kind of how I bought it. But I had the seats reupholstered. A buddy of ours who moved back to his hometown did the seat upholstery. Got the Holley EFI dash up there. That's actually pretty cool. Gives me speedometer and a little bit better readout than what your basic Sniper stuff gives you on their 3.5-inch handheld. But this car's good. It runs well. It leaks everything, but that's okay. It'll give us something to do when we don't have any other cars to work on. Maybe we'll tear the engine out of this thing, rebuild the transmission, reseal everything, and give us a little something to do on it. But that is that car. See our fancy radio. We got the cheapest little Advanced Auto speakers in the back. They're doing pretty good, actually. Our other little car, well, I shouldn't say the shop's car, this is my personal car. 95 Camaro. This thing's bounced around Myrtle Beach quite a bit, but I ended up picking up the car for cheap, put an engine in it, trans in it, painted the cage, put the seats in it, wheels, all this stuff came off the Love Truck drag truck. So a little swapping going on there, but this is an absolute blast to drive. Been trying to take it out to more shows here recently. It's not the most comfortable car to get into, but it sure is a blast to drive. Get a better view of this. My cameraman skills aren't the greatest. This is not what I am good at. I am better at tuning your carburetor than I am at making videos, but we're gonna give it a shot and see what people think about it. So, bought the car for $1,000, and I don't want to tell you how much I have into it now, but it's way more than what I anticipated being into this thing. But for being a grown-up go-kart, it is probably the most fun that you can have on 4 wheels out here. So I'm gonna stop here. I'll get a couple other cars prepped and we'll go through those cars next. Okay, next one up is a 1954 Crestline, and you will notice that you can see through that hood. This was a dealer-only option that Ford offered, where you could get, it was basically, they call it a demonstrator hood. Give me one second, I'm gonna put the hood back down. So people could come into the showroom, you could see the engine and basically see all the internals right through the hood. According to the customer, there was only about 250 of these ever in production, and he just so happens to have one of them. This one came in, had a hard brake pedal, couldn't really get the brakes to work out really well. It's got 4-piston Wilwood on all 4 corners, and it ended up being a combination of the brake pedal ratio and the booster being too small. So he had a 7-inch single diaphragm booster on there. We swapped it out for an 8-inch double booster, and then increased the ratio a little bit, gave it a much better feel. So the other issue he has, and you'll see in just a second, his convertible top one of the arms snapped off. So it is like trying to find a needle in a haystack to try and find this part. We've been through quite a few different people, and they're all just a little bit wrong. None of them have been right yet. So we're hoping that we have an arm for it coming in shortly. It's a beautiful car though. The guy drives it everywhere, does a lot with the local car clubs here in the area, and it's just an absolute gorgeous car. Try and keep his license plate out of it. So show you the other side. Interior is beautiful. It's got a great looking setup in here. Let's see if I can zoom out. There we go. That looks better. Ugh, it's a little tight in this shop. For being as big as this shop is, there's a lot of crap that gets in the way. So I think he still has his Halloween decorations up from the last time we saw him out at a car show. All right, this one, 88 Fox body. This car is getting everything. This getting Prestige Motors 427 small block Ford in there, nitrous ready. He's got absolutely every single upgrade you can think of on this car. He's got doing a Tremec 6-speed. He's got the Willwoods all the way around. He's got a battle ready 8.8 built in this thing. The paint is great, which I prefer they come unpainted before we start building them, but it's too late now. He's already had this thing painted. So we're going to be extremely careful with this one. We're waiting on engine and pretty much engine to show up. Once the engine gets here, we can start mock-up. We're going to be rewiring the whole car. Holley EFI Terminator kit. And hopefully get this guy's dream car back up and running. So this is going to be a really fun car when it's done. 70 Camaro, split bumper Camaro. This came in as a running and driving car. Customer wanted to do some upgrades, so we're doing We're doing American Powertrain TKO 500, the 5-speed manual swap. Had a Turbo 400 in here before. 396 big block. It's a very rowdy motor. Thing sounds phenomenal. While we're in there, I think we're doing Dakota digital gauges. We're resealing the whole motor. That's why the motor is actually out of it. It was the front saddle was blown out on the oil pan gasket. So we're going to fix that. I'll do my best to try and keep these people's tags out. I don't think it's supposed to show that. But going through it, getting the engine bay prepped for paint. We're going to put some undercoating, a little bit of black on the firewall. You can see the dash is out. We got a different, obviously it's going from auto to manual, so it's got a different center console that's going in it. Got a new distributor. His old distributor was pretty well corroded. Different radio. There's a lot of little knick-knack stuff that's going on this car, but it's going to be really, really sweet when it's all said and done. I think he said something about maybe changing the wheels and tires too. So, but we shall see. Next one, Factory 5 kit car. This has got a powertrain from an 89 Mustang in it. We had it in here once before. Someone put a cam in it and it's been hell on the tune. So there's not a whole lot of options for factory ECU anymore. The quarter horse and Moats and all those guys, it's really difficult to get someone to tune that stuff and to get it in there right. So we did the best that we could. A little bit of idle surge, but it's okay. Came back in, it's got a bad alternator. So we're gonna switch out the alternator, fix the fan, adjust the clutch pedal a little bit, and he will be back in his go-kart. So this guy loves this car, drives the crap out of it. All right, let me get a couple more cars ready. We'll move on to the next set. Okay, so the next four, these are pretty much getting ready to go out the door. They've been completed or going for alignments. We don't have an alignment machine here, but we got a wonderful alignment tech down at the beach at West Tire and Auto. We use them for all of our alignments. They do a fantastic job. 65 Ford F100. So This one came in, clutch was slipping, brakes were not that great on it. Wanted to upgrade to discs up front. So we did the conversion, rebuilt the kingpins, put a new clutch pressure plate, flywheel on it, did a tune up to it, set the timing, adjusted the carburetor. No, sent the carburetor out to be rebuilt. Got it back, tuned it a little bit, got it so it was a little more dialed in. And then changed out the gauge pack inside on the dash. They don't make a whole lot for this truck as far as gauges are concerned, but we made it work with some Equus gauges. They're a really good low budget option. You can get some really good looking gauges from them. This is their oil pressure, factory speedo of course, water temp, and then down below you got your voltage and your fuel level. So, and he got a new fuel tank. His old fuel tank was pretty nasty. So, interior is all pretty original. It's a good looking truck. So I believe this gentleman, when he gets it back, I think his goals or ideas are to kind of try and daily drive this thing. So we are alignment, a good license plate so we can road test this thing, put about a 30-mile test drive on it, and then it can go home. So that's that for this one. 65 Malibu, Chevelle, whatever you want to call it. 327 Power Glide setup. Customer came in for suspension upgrades. Wanted something. He was getting a little bit of rubbing issue because it had too much body roll. So better sway, put a sway bar in the rear, changed out the upper lower control arms in the rear, upper lower control arms in the front, new springs up front, new springs in the rear, shocks, and then played with a bunch of different electrical issues. Had brake lights staying on, dash lights not coming on, headlights not working properly. When you would turn the headlights on, his inner high beam lights would glow lightly instead of actually coming on. Ended up finding there's a ground issue. So if you don't have your lights wired properly, it does matter on some of these. You'll get grounding issues and they won't light up properly. But this is a beautiful car. This video doesn't do it justice on just how clean and how nice of a car this is. I think he had, when it came in, it was just over 1/2 volt of parasitic draw. So we got that down to about 40 milliamps, which is perfect. Anything over 60 milliamps will give you a dead battery over time. And we switched out this gauge bezel. It was a nice silver aluminum style one. He wanted it to be a little darker, so we put the factory black one back in. But great car. Sounds phenomenal, drives great. It's getting picked up Monday. I'm going to the alignment shop, going to West Tire. Another one going to West Tire and Auto. 68 Mustang. We did a radiator conversion to this thing to get a larger radiator, twin fans. The lighting sucks over here, so it's hard to see stuff. Upgraded alternator, Global West front suspension, upper lower or no upper control arms. It's got coilovers up front now. We got rid of the factory suspension, put coilovers on it, added air conditioning, vintage air, AC, new distributor. There's a couple of little things. I think it's getting some gauges. Oil pressure gauge doesn't read quite correctly. Fuel gauge wasn't reading correctly. So, but just another beautiful car. I'll keep that door shut. We got a check on the seat and a repair order. Here you go. It's a great car. The Vintage Air reuses the factory switching, so it makes it a little complicated to figure out what it's actually doing, but once you get used to it, It's pretty easy going. And last one over here, it's an 88 or 89 Ram Charger. When it got here, it did not run very well at all. Had a, I think it had a 360 in it. Customer wanted something that was a little bit peppier. We found ATK makes a little bit more sporty 360. Got that, put it in, broke it in. Had the 904 transmission rebuilt. Got timing, everything dialed in. It's got heat, AC, everything functions on it. We had a leaking, what was it? The transcooler. These have a factory transcooler that sits up front, and it started leaking. So once we get that done, he says he wants a little more snap off the line, so we'll play with the carburetor a little bit more, make it a little more jumpy off the line for him, and then she's going home. But not every day you see a Ram Charger. All right, let me get some more set up. We'll get back at it. These few on the back wall, I'm gonna leave them covered up. But this one is going to be here for a little while, 64 Falcon. It's hard to see under the covers. We try and do this to keep the dust off of them. Like this one's a little dusty. We need to wipe it back down. But 64 Falcon is getting a huge build. We're gonna tear this thing all the way down to nothing and bring it back up with modern parts. So I'm sure there will be a video all on that one later on. 69 Mark III Continental. Fix the brakes, fix the power steering driven wiper system. Come to find out, the block, the 460, had a cracked rear cylinder on the water jacket. So we hunted down another 460 made just for the 69 Continental Mark III. It's being painted. It's a really nice color blue, but that'll be back in here shortly. I believe this is a 68 Cutlass. It's been so long. We did vintage air swap on this thing, and we are in the process of trying to get this engine to cooperate with the AC compressor. It doesn't want to fit. These Mondello valve covers are so tall that it sits where the factory or where the vintage air AC is supposed to sit. So we're in the process of playing with different pulley combinations, water pump combinations, trying to get everything spaced out and working, so that way we can finish up this vintage air AC, because it has been here way too long. But it's a beautiful color. So hopefully, maybe at the end, Mondello's not in business anymore that I'm aware of. I think the old man passed away, so I don't know if it's being carried on or not, but maybe we'll do a breakdown on how we actually got the AC compressor to work. He's got Mondello heads, Mondello everything from them. So, but it's Olds Rocket 350, I believe. Let's see. This was a 67 Corvette 427 big block. So carburetor came in. It was leaking a bunch. We tried to rebuild it. I ended up finding a crack in the body of it on the accelerator pump side. Sent it off. We have a gentleman that is currently rebuilding it and got a new body for it. So, but they take a very specific carburetor. You can't just really slap anything on there. I guess you could, but it looks so factory original that you really won't want to put anything else on there. So I'm gonna move some stuff around in this Bel Air and we'll hit that one next. All right, 55 Bel Air. This one, full teardown, no engine, pulled trans, pulled the whole front suspension, pulled all the brakes, rebuilt the rear end. It now has a Blueprint 350 in there, 700R4 transmission. This one is still in the works. It's got to get the vintage air stuff finished. There's a bunch of wires laying around. We got to finish wiring on it, but it's pretty close. I would say we probably got another 20-30 hours left on this one. So beautiful car. See my parts pile back here. We gotta get the box to sit on the wall. We got a couple other little knickknacks to put on it. Got a different steering column. Got a I Did It steering column. Not a huge fan of them, but it seemed to hook up pretty well so far. Using factory gauges, we did everything, and then he wanted factory gauges, so we leave factory gauges. Got power steering conversion. It's got 4-wheel disc brakes, and then rebuilt the factory rear end so that he could make it. He wants to drive this car to California, so we're going to make sure he gets there in one piece. All right, next one. I believe this is 69 Cougar. Oh no, there's no gas tank in there. The original gas tank's full of rust, so we got a new one coming. We got an old one there. Super cool color on this car. It looks phenomenal. You'll notice there's a bunch of stuff missing in here. Had to take the gauges back out. We rebuilt the dash, put a new printed circuit board overlay, got most of the gauges working, and then the tack was shorted out. So every time you hook the tack up, it stalled the car out. So we got the tack off. I think the guy's company is called Rocket Man. Does a great job with Ford tacks. We've had him do quite a few Mustang tacks for us, and they come back great. So 302 in this bad boy. Runs really well. Had to tune the carb. It was, we'll say, excessively rich. So it would smoke this whole shop out. And it's a big shop. But we're nearing the end of it. We fixed a couple different little oil leaks. Fixed the rear end. It's got a 9-inch in the rear end. New seals, bearings, gaskets, fluids. So this one's got a lot of different little things going on with it, but it's getting close. Here's a nice one. Factory K-Code car. This one is super sharp. It's getting hydraulic clutch conversion put on it, which is done. Rear axle's getting rebuilt. It had a really nasty vibration at highway speeds. We got a little tidbit of information that he tried to tighten the pinion nut up himself, and he put a little too much on it, so smoked the bearing back there. But it's got a 289. It's not the Hypo motor. The Hypo motor's out of it, but it's just a phenomenal looking car. Really great paint. It's a fun driver too. So, but the hydraulic clutch is going to be a really nice addition to it. Makes that shifting much smoother. So more on this one when it's down lower. Here's a little bit better view of this Hypo 289 K-Code Mustang. Extremely clean. Just put a brand new flow cooler or water pump on there. If your water pump's leaking and you've got a Ford style or Oldsmobile or Pontiac, look into flow cooler. They are phenomenal water pumps. Work really, really well. So I'll show you the inside. Really, really nice. Factory gauges, we have the rally pack is out. I don't think it's here inside the car, but tack wasn't working on that. That is also out to Rocket Man, so he can work his magic and get that tack working as well. All right, 69 Chevelle, big block motor. This is one of the ones we did when we were back at the old shop. Pulled the motor, pulled the whole engine bay down, painted everything. It is a little dusty still, just from driving it. He's been out enjoying the car. But this is one we put Edelbrock ProFlow on. He had someone else do the brakes, and the brakes were poor, so with the cam we put in this thing, it only makes like 9 inches of vacuum at idle. So vacuum can, vacuum pump. This combination from CVR seems to work really, really well. You get their vacuum can, you get their vacuum pump. It's like $400, and your brakes, it's night and day from what it can do to it. I think we put a Griffin or a cold case. I think it's a cold case. Doesn't have the Griffin cap on it. Twin fan setup. This thing runs great. Sounds absolutely amazing. It's got the thumper cam in it. It hits hard. 4-speed car. Top goes down. Doors up. This is another one we put Equus gauges in. For what they cost, they work really, really well. So it's a really good economical gauge set for it. So Muncie M21 transmission, 396 big block. And he was even nice enough to put our sticker on there. Super cool dude. Usually when he comes in, he brings us a little bit of food too, which always makes us happy. Food is the way to our hearts. All right, another car that most people don't see, 56 Golden Hawk Studebaker. It's got a 352 Packard in it. This is the original engine. We originally got this thing and retrofitted it with a 700 R4. The transmission that came in it, nobody really rebuilds, or at least rebuilds them successfully. We've heard some horror stories of ones that have been rebuilt and it just didn't work out. This one is back this time. He wants the factory tack put back in it, and the ignition switch was sticking. Turn the key, it just keeps the starter running. But really fun car. That 700 R4 makes it much more enjoyable to drive than what the 3-speed transmission, I think it was like a fluid drive or something weird. I knew it back when we did it. We did this car at the old shop, so it's been about a year. This hood is extremely heavy. If that falls on my head, it'd probably kill me. Let's see. Tack is out right now. There's the factory tack. It's massive. It's like an AC motor inside of there. I've never seen anything like it. So, but we have to get a special sender that goes inside the distributor with a jumper harness, basically, to make this thing work. And there are a few people that still make that kind of stuff. So, Studebaker Golden Hawk. ZZ Top, anybody? 33 Plymouth. Small block 400. It's got a 700 R4 transmission. This one was supposed to be really simple. Fix my backup camera, figure out why my blower motor is rattling. And from there, it turned into polished intake manifold. Radiator was leaking, switched it out with a Griffin, which was really difficult to retrofit. This is on a C3 Corvette frame. So it took a little bit of doing, but it's in there and it looks nice. New lines, new hoses. We're waiting on the AC hoses to show up from Show and Go, I believe is the name of the company. But very cool car. Almost impossible to see out of when you're inside of it. Every time I had to move it around, I needed people to help guide me around. Maybe the inside. Fun car though. Sounds great. Sure, it turns a lot of heads. Should be done here in the next couple days. We had to send the Show and Go hoses out to them to be crimped. Nobody around here owns the proper crimping tool, and we had one crimped and it looked terrible. So they crimp them for free. We just have to ship them out to them, and then they'll do the work and we'll get them back. All right, last one. 76 Corvette. This one, 350, getting sniper installed, full timing control, Hyperspark, all that jazz. In the process of finishing up some of the wiring on it. Got a new radiator, electric fans, AC install, vintage air, new condenser, electric pop-up motors for the light housings, Coda digital gauges. It's got Wilwood brakes upgrade. It's going to be getting retro auto sound. We're gonna be putting all new interior pieces in this car. We laid all the Dynamat. Typically we don't try to do all that, but it was so far down that it just made sense for us to kind of do it and get it done. We try and stay away from anything body related, but we'll get all the panels put into it, the seats put in it, and this guy will be enjoying, I believe he said this was his high school car, so he'll be back out on the road having fun again. Alright, so that's the end of our shop tour. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I know this is probably a long video and it's probably boring to listen to me talk about these cars, but this is what we work on every day, day in and day out. So if you have a car that you're interested in possibly having us work on for you, you can always reach out to us. Our telephone number is 843-591-0033. You can ask for Bradley. He deals with all the quotes, all the builds, all the customer relations side of it. So Bradley is the other owner of this business. He and I own it together. So if you want to come hang out with us or come see the shop, feel free to stop by. Our address is 151 Old Woodward Avenue, Conway, South Carolina, 29526. So we'll see you at the next one. Happy hot rodding.